Live from the station that brings you more West Texas news. News West 9 Early Sunrise starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to News West 9 Early Sunrise. It's 5 o'clock on this Tuesday, March 15th. I'm Alicia Lavelle.
And I'm Jessica Ryan. Thanks for joining us here this morning on Early Sunrise. Not too bad of a day yesterday, but we're going to start a gradual warm-up beginning with today. We're talking even 90s here as we get toward the end.
Spring break.
Great for spring break, absolutely. Let's take a look at current temperatures outside this morning. We're seeing 45 in Big Spring and Midland, 49 in Odessa, 46 in Pecos, 57 right now in Fort Stockton. So a little bit on the cool side. You may want to grab that jacket as you're heading out the door this morning. Here's a look at what to expect for your Tuesday. About 43 at 9 a.m., 69 for lunchtime this afternoon. We'll top out near 81 degrees by the time we get to 5 o'clock this afternoon. Area forecast today, 78 in Seminole, 80 in Stanton, 86 in Pecos. We'll see winds out of the south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. We're going to continue this warm-up as we head into the next couple of days, maybe even a slight chance for some rain. I'll have a look at your Storm Tracker 9 5-day forecast here in a few minutes. Alicia?
This morning, fire officials are investigating a downtown building fire in Big Spring. And take a look at the pictures from the scene of the fire. These pictures were sent in to us by viewers late last night. The fire broke out just before 10 in a vacant building at 2nd and Runnels. Investigators tell us it looked like the fire started in the east end of the building and then it spread. Firefighters knocked out the bigger flames, but the inside of the building was made of thick timbers, and those continued to smolder for a while. Fire didn't threaten any other buildings, and no one was hurt. Crews this morning are still trying to figure out what caused it. Midland Sheriff's Office is worried that more and more West Texans suffering mental crises could wind up behind bars, and it's all because of state budget cuts. Nick Lawton tells us decreased funding for services and medication could lead to drastic consequences.
Proposed Texas budget cuts have a 20% cut to the funding to the Department of State Health Services. That department contracts mental health services to the Permian Basin Community Centers for Mental Health and Mental Retardation, which serves 8 counties in West Texas, including Midland and Nectar.
We would lose approximately $900,000 in funding for adult mental health and approximately $165,000 funding for children's mental health. That would equate to about 900 adults and about 150 children that would not be seen next year that were seen this past year.
And the extra danger to those suffering mental crises comes if they are one of the hundreds who won't be seen next year.
They would also start exhibiting symptoms that would be problematic for them at home or in schools and the workplace if they were not getting their medication. A lot of them would lose their housing because they would lose their jobs.
What special trained mental health officers are worried about is that if the cuts do happen, more and more people suffering mental crises will wind up right here on the streets, and that other officers who don't know the difference will find them first and take them to jail. Midland County has 3 specialized mental health officers through the Sheriff's Department certified by the state. They perform screenings on suspects to figure out if they have criminal intent or are just suffering a mental crisis, diverting them from jail and to the care they need. Over the past 4 years, they've diverted 200 people, but if that many more become displaced, their workload doubles.
When they cut back their beds, when they cut back their treatment, they cut back their medication, all of that is going to come in play at the local level. We're going to have to pick up the slack.
Sheriff Painter said they may not have the manpower to do so, that many of these people will be misdiagnosed as criminals and taken to prison.
It may be that they get picked up before we can get to them. That's my worst fear. Once they get into the facility, it's harder to keep them out of a jail bed.
If the cuts happen, Sheriff Painter said they might have to hire another mental health officer or introduce mental health curriculum into local police training. Reporting in Midland, Nick Lawton, News West 9.
Well, it's official. It will be up to voters in Big Spring to decide if city council members should have term limits. A petition to put that issue on the ballot was approved by the city council last night. 583 signatures were validated, and that's more than enough to take it to the polls in May. The Concerned Citizens Group turned in that petition last week. Now there's only one holdup. There was some wording problems. The group wanted to limit a council member to 2 terms. However, the petition said only 1. The city attorney will review that wording and decide today how it will read on the ballot. Either way, term limits will appear on the May 14th ballot. This morning, 3 people are recovering after a beating, stabbing, and shooting outside a Midland bar this weekend. Police charged this man, one of the men involved in the attack, with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 39-year-old Robert Medellin is out of jail this morning after posting a $10,000 bond. Police tell us a fight broke out outside of the Lone Star Bar on West Wall around 1 Saturday morning. They say 1 person was beaten, 1 stabbed, and 1 shot. All 3 of those victims were treated and released from the hospital. That fight comes just a week after a bar brawl that left a Midland man dead. Chief Price Robinson tells us he doesn't think the latest 2 cases are related. It's just a mix of people having too much to drink. Now, while most crime is down in the Tall City, aggravated assaults are actually up. The chief says his officers are doing their part to keep the peace, but it's not all up to them.
Try to do that, be proactive, but a lot of that responsibility, falls on, the bar owners with their license. Don't serve drunks, keep an eye out for potential problems. If they see a problem maybe happening, call the police.
Officers are now taking a proactive approach to keep bar patrons safe. They patrol bar parking lots and they check on people who may have had too much to drink. And with spring break this week, officers are stepping up those efforts. Despite warnings about Mexico's brutal drug war, it's not deterring students from heading to Cancun for spring break. Just last week, Texas officials warned co-eds to stay away from Mexico. However, thousands of students have showed up over the past 3 weeks. One spring breaker says the lure of Cancun's sun and sand outweighed worries about violence.
I was really nervous coming down, but ever since I've been here, it was a lot of fun, and I didn't see anything that looked like I should have been afraid of. We left the resort twice to go to clubs, and it was really safe, and we got there and back fine.
Tourism, especially spring break, is big business for Mexico's tourist destinations. Foreign visitors spend nearly $12 billion in Mexico just last year. Well, it's no surprise as our drought continues, Midland and Ector County commissioners have decided to extend their burn bans. In Ector County, they extended it for 30 days. In Midland, for the next 90. We'll check in with Storm Tracker 9 meteorologist Jessica Ryan in just a little bit to find out if there's any precipitation in the near forecast. Meanwhile, Howard County commissioners are asking property owners to help prevent the spread of grass fires. They're being asked to clear their property of brush and debris and to cut their grass low. Now, people have already called commissioners to complain about their neighbors' lots. They say the extra brush on properties isn't only an eyesore, it's also perfect fuel for a fire. Grass fires and high gas prices are combining to make things tough for the West Odessa Fire Department. Now, those aren't their only problems. The trucks were damaged by the cold weather earlier this year, so they had to dig into their own pockets to make repairs. Then a brush truck broke down. The price tag to fix that, $7,000. That truck carries 1,200 gallons of water, and right now they're relying on smaller trucks that hold a lot less water. Fire crews say it's a situation that's putting homes and lives at risk.
Our biggest thing is getting there with enough water to do the job, because if you don't get on them real quick, as dry as we are, it'll run forever. That's why I'm asking the community for help right now. I mean, we're a volunteer department. Everybody out here works hard, and we do the best we can to protect their lives and property. And that's what we're asking them to do, is to help us protect their lives and property.
Now, the county does help them out with a small monthly maintenance fee, but because the Volunteer Fire Department is a separate organization, they can't fully fund them. If you'd like to make a donation, you can contact the West Odessa Volunteer Fire Department. An ATV accident claims the life of a young Big Spring girl. 9-year-old Summer Quillen was killed Sunday after an ATV she was driving overturned. The Big Spring girl was driving the four-wheeler near Lake Texacoma in Oklahoma when she lost control as it was going down a steep hill. Troopers say the ATV overturned and rolled over her. She died at the scene. A chase in Big Spring leaves a police officer in the hospital. We're told the officer tried to pull over a motorcycle Friday night on Goliad. The driver wouldn't stop and the chase started. Investigators say the bike turned down 15th and Donley, and when the officer tried to turn, he went into a skid and he hit a telephone pole. He was treated and released from the hospital, and the biker was able to get away. A 6-car pileup in Fort Stockton sends a car sailing into a building. It happened Thursday by the Aaron Sales dealership on Highway 285. We're told a pickup truck pulling a trailer smashed into 5 cars, and one went right through the Aaron's building. Investigators say the driver, 51-year-old David Owen from Katy, was taken in the hospital. Police believe he had a seizure when he was driving, and that's why he crashed. He's since been treated and released. No one else was hurt in that incident. Well, if you live near Snyder, you might have felt a little tremor this weekend. There was a small earthquake in that area. It hit shortly after 3 Sunday afternoon, and according to the U.S. Geological Survey, it registered 3.8 on the Richter scale. There were no reports of damage or any injuries. There's some new attractions at 2 Odessa parks. Murray Fly Park and Western Manor Park recently had a facelift. Improvements include a newer, safer surface and more playground equipment. Those changes were made possible by parks donations on city utility bills. The West Texas Food Bank had a Super Bowl Sunday. During the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl Sunday, Albertsons accepted donation bags to give to the food bank. Albertsons racked up a total of 35,000 pounds of food. That's expected to feed about 27,000 families in this area. Coming up next on News West 9, early sunrise. The search continues for a student missing in Mesquite. He disappeared after a boating accident, one of the very latest. Plus, not all college students are headed to Cancun. Some are staying right here in Texas, spending the time helping others. That story and much more is next on News West 9, Early Sunrise.